Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks. Yeah, I've got Blue Chip Breakdown's going to be a guest on the show today. We're going to talk about, obviously, the big Florida game. And this is a make or break for Tennessee. And, of course, for Florida with Billy Napier. Is he going to survive? It's going to be a wild weekend and a big one. And let's get right into the show. All right, folks, I wanted to bring Blue Chip Breakdown on with Bull and P. I've been watching their channel quite a bit, and I'm sure many of you UT fans have as well. We've got the big game coming up, Florida Gators. Oh, God, I hate Florida so much. That is the team that I can't stand, and it will always be that way for me. So this is a nerve-wracking week for me, and I was super excited about playing Florida. I thought we were just going to destroy them a week ago. I felt great. I didn't even know if Billy Napier was going to be the head coach. Now he may save his job by beating us, which I can't. The thought of that. So, what's y'all's thoughts going into this game? Bull, we'll start with you.
So for me, it's several things. It's just really about what Tennessee team is actually going to show up because, you know, we do all this stuff with the film breakdowns and looking at the rosters and all that type of stuff, but you just never know what team is going to show up to play. We felt like we would have been able to blow out Arkansas, but just with the way that the offense has been sputtering, that's my biggest concern. Can the offense get things going this weekend? And Florida's offense is giving our defense trouble over the past few seasons. So have we figured that part of it out, you know? But I think that we should be fine. We just got to come out, play our game. Hopefully we kind of mix some things up and get that offense going, especially vertically down the field.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. Same thing you said, man. This is a game you look back, you rewind back, 2-3 weeks ago. This was not a game people were really worried about. But once we went out there and struggled with Oklahoma, kind of what we did offensively, and then again with Arkansas, this is a game that I think Florida is going to be just as talented as either of those teams on both sides of the ball. So if those teams could slow our offense down, I think Florida could definitely do it as well. So it's going to be up to, Heupel and that offense, NICO, the O-line, everybody to come together and really put together a complete game. And kind of like Bull just said, man, even their offense, they don't seem to be super effective against other teams, but for every reason, man, they just give us a lot of trouble with all the motions and things they do pre-snap, really puts the middle of our defense in a bind. And so it's going to be a big-time game. And, I mean, I think if we come out here and play the way we can, we should be fine. But this is one that, to me, I think should be garnering more headlines, more attention, because I think this will be a good game.
Yeah, this used to be the game, the SEC game that determined everything. Now, not so much. But my big concern, and I know y'all see this coming, Graham Mertz, his percentage rate of completion is super high. It's almost 80%. And he is the type of guy, he likes to dink and dunk. And what that does is keep our offense off the field. And with these new clock rules, the clock is just constantly running, whether you get a first down, whether you go out of bounds. You can't stop the clock until 2 minutes. I don't like those rule changes because that means less football for us.
Yeah. No, and that's a great point. That's what Arkansas did to us. If you look at the first quarter, man, it took like 7 minutes off the clock with that first drive. They only got 3 points, but I mean, we only had the ball for like I think 4 plays in the first quarter. Was it four? It was like 4 or 8 plays in the first quarter. I mean, you can't win like that.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is because all the little misdirection stuff that they do in their running game, but also, in their passing game, it's a whole lot of run pass option stuff. So the linebackers and the safety play is going to be critical in this game. They've got to play a lot better than they did last weekend. All the plays that Arkansas kind of hit on Tennessee's defense, that's pretty much all that Florida likes to run. So whenever you look at Graham Mertz, who does a great job of finding his people, I've seen several times, Florida will kind of like run off everybody deep and they'll have one check down guy. And I mean, Graham Mertz will just throw it to the check down guy really, really quickly. So it's going to be important for the linebackers to have good, tight coverage. And also we got to come up and we have to tackle well, because if we don't, I mean, they'll just dink and dunk all the way down the field. We got to get off the field on third downs. If Tennessee does that, I think that we'll be fine for the most part versus what Florida likes to do.
Yeah, Peely and Carter are going to have their hands full for those types of plays. They've got to have their head on a swivel and just be able to clean up everything in that area. And that's not going to be easy to do because it looks like Eugene Wilson is also going to be available for Florida. And that guy can run. I mean, he is a speed demon and very difficult to deal with. And he's fully available is my understanding. Yeah. And we can talk about the injury report as well. As a matter of fact, let's do that now. Florida has a bunch of people, and I know you covered this the other day, Bull, because I watched that show. Florida has a lot of people that are out or questionable, but Tennessee's got some key guys too.
Yeah, so I mean, Squirrel, I don't know if he's going to go, right? It sounds like he's got some sort of an AC joint. So, how much pain can he tolerate in this game? I don't think that it's necessary for him to go. We've got other wide receivers. That wide receiver room is, probably the deepest, maybe the second deepest on this whole team. So, we should be fine there. But also seeing Dante Thornton there, I was like shocked. I don't know what's going on with him. Hopefully, he can go. I think we could use him a little bit more. And then Brew. Sounds like he's going to try to go with some sort of a makeshift glove so that he can still catch that ball. But I think that those guys is what would stand out to most fans. Probably the biggest one that people aren't talking that much about is Christian Harrison playing our nickel, which we call star. He's going to be critical because the other guy who rotates in with him, Boo, he's a true freshman. So how, who is Tennessee going to be able to put in right there if Christian Harrison can't go? But that's what I'm seeing just as far as the players that are out. I'm happy that Bryson Easton can go, but P, what do you think about, some of the players that Tennessee might have out?
Man, I guess it's kind of weird, but with all the receivers out, Brew potentially, Squirrel, potentially, and looks like even Dante as well. I actually am kind of excited to see those other guys now. Like I'm kind of, what's Browser going to do? Caleb Webb, Nimrod, does Mike Matthews finally get an opportunity? Like you said, we're pretty deep in that room. And this isn't necessarily the game you want to be throwing those younger guys like a Mike Matthews out there. But, I mean, I think he is an absolute guy, and I think he would rise to the occasion. So, I'm as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of excited to see that receiver room and those guys forcing action. As far as Christian Harrison, man, I mean, that is a big deal. We know that Will Brooks played a little bit of star last season for us against Georgia. I think he played a lot in that game. And we have other guys. They say they cross-train all those guys. So I think like Christian Charles could bump in there. I'm sure there's other guys too that they could slide into that position as well. So I think we'll be fine there, but that is one to watch. And it's kind of one to watch out for. And then even Bryson Easton, I'm not sure exactly what his deal was, but we'll see kind of how limited he may be actually in the game, and if he is at 100%, because he probably has been maybe our best guy in the interior of that D line this year. So I think having him at full health is going to be huge.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about. I have come to the conclusion that Josh Heupel is protecting NICO and has been all year long. I watched him in the first ball game that he started, which was a Citrus Bowl, and he was running around and doing all kinds of things and creating touchdowns for us. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 throwing, and I think he's run the ball 1 time for a touchdown in 5 ball games. That doesn't make sense to me. I think he's been instructed not to run. I think he's trying to keep him healthy and protected until probably later on in the season, maybe thinking, hey, we'll get to Alabama and then I can unleash him. And unfortunately, now we've lost a ball game. We're in the playoff right now. We're in it. We cannot lose this game, period. If we do, we will not get in the playoff because there's no way you're going to beat Alabama and Georgia at Georgia. So we need to be playing all out, and we need NICO to play all out. I'm hoping he will run the ball 8 to 10 times and create problems for that defensive line the way Hendon Hooker just was a nightmare for a defense to deal with. You never know what the crap he was going to do. He might burn you over the top. He may do a quarterback draw and run 40 yards on you. You have no idea. And I want to see NICO do some of that. What is Bull, let's start with you. What is your opinion on that with NICO, Josh Heupel, and his ability to run, et cetera?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that it's no question. Tennessee's got to use his legs a lot more. Look, whenever you think about NICO, you think about a dual threat quarterback, a guy who can make all the throws in the pocket, on the run, but you also think about a guy that can kill you with his legs. Like you said, I mean, we just have not used that enough, and obviously it's got to be just because Coach Heupel wants to try to keep him healthy. But at this point, it is do or die. We got to win every single game, so pull out all the stops. We can run some more read options. We saw that quarterback draw. That should be an automatic. If we go empty and if the box is only 4 or maybe 5 guys in there, it should be an automatic quarterback draw every single time. And, NICO scores on that touchdown, what I think that was versus NC State. We can also run some quarterback powers. Teams are running all these 3-man fronts with very light boxes. It's just a very basic and easy numbers game. Use the quarterback's legs, use everybody else as lead blockers. I think that it absolutely has to happen. But we also need to roll him out more because that'll help out with the pass protection, with some of the, things that we're seeing from coverages and things like that. So I think that in this game, I don't know how many times we're going to see him run, But I would say we need to try to shoot for maybe 5 quarterback runs every game just to put that extra stress on defenses and keep them honest.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. You hit the nail on the head. And kind of back to your point, Jay, like Hypo, it does like he is trying to protect him, and it's a little bit too much. Like we're doing a lot of 7-man protections, which I know we'll talk about the pass game later, but that's actually hindering our pass game. And then I was actually watching our 2022 film against Florida last season, and Hendon Hooker, he ran the ball like 3 or 4 times on that first drive. And what that actually ended up doing, it opened up the run game, just the regular, inside zone, because you're seeing linebackers are actually a step slower now because they have to respect the quarterback keeping it and getting around the edge. So that actually helps us out in more than just one way. So I think Hypo does need to get NICO involved, man. Like let him go out there and play. I mean, he's a strong guy. I think he's durable. I think he'll be fine. He knows how to get down, protect himself. But I think that's one of his most valuable assets, and we don't let him use that enough.
Yeah, it's when I think about the Alabama game, the first thing that I'm concerned about is Jalen Milroe running the ball. That's my biggest fear of that ball game. And that used to be everybody's biggest fear with us. I remember watching YouTubers, and they were literally shaking in their boots about what Hendon Hooker was going to do to them. And they didn't, they were just like, this guy's, he's like a Swiss Army knife. We don't know what he's going to do to us. And now with this situation, they're not even worried about NICO running at all. They have no concern of that. Oklahoma wasn't concerned. Arkansas wasn't concerned, which that I do not think this offense works with a pocket passer. It's not set up for that. Everywhere it's been successful at UCF, and whether he did it at Missouri, wherever he's been, he's had a guy that could take off on you and burn you bad. And that's what I want to see happen with Tennessee. Like I said, it's do or die now. It really is. There's no way you can lose this ball game and have any chance of getting into the playoff whatsoever.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And for me, this is a good enough team to where if we don't get in the playoff, this is not going to be a successful season for us. It's just everybody's going to be disappointed. You can go 9-3 and or 8-4. That'd be totally disappointing. I can't handle that. And especially if we lost to Florida.
Man, I know. At home, sheesh. We might be their only top 25 win this season. Even though they have a schedule full of top 25 teams, we might be their only. If we go out there and lose, we'll be their only top 25 freaking win. We just can't keep the little bugaboo of Florida going. We got to end it this season.
Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Oh, water tastes good, yes. Club.
Yeah, 100%.
I totally agree. It's just it's something else. So let's talk a little bit about Tennessee's defense. Obviously, I think they've been really outstanding this year. They've kept teams, 19 points in Arkansas, and I don't even count 4 of those. And then, of course, they handled Oklahoma. They're doing a really good job. I think this will be a tough game for them because Graham Mertz is very frustrating. You finally get him to 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5 or whatever. He's just good at those type of numbers. I'm hoping that Neyland is huge in this game. Monstrous. I hope it goes up and flips and comes back down, just like it did with Alabama in 2022. Yeah. How much do you think the crowd will factor into this and momentum and all those types of things?
Yeah, so anytime that you're playing one of your just hated rivals, it always is going to play a very, very big factor. And then if you look at how Florida's season has kind of set up, right? Preseason, people didn't know if they could even win 6 games. Now at this point, they've only lost to 2 top 10 teams. They've started to look better and better, obviously playing for their coach's job. I think that coming off of these, I think the past 2 games, Florida has won, so they're on like a 2-game winning streak. They've got some confidence playing up against the Tennessee team that lost 2 and the Arkansas team that I think Florida is more talented than. So it's going to be huge for the crowd and obviously for the players out on the field to take away Florida's confidence very early in this game, because if they play with confidence, they are a totally different team. But as soon as you start to see them, I don't want to say quitting, but you can kind of tell whenever they're not playing with the same confidence, then they turn into a team that is extremely beatable. And that's where Tennessee could really start to blow this game open at. So, yeah, crowd is going to be huge for sure.
Yeah. I expect it to be rocking. Heck, it's going to be Neyland at night, Checker Neyland at night. It should be a raucous environment. I know we've been wanting these guys all season. You see a lot of fans on social media going back to, before the season even started, have been waiting on this game, just kind of knew this was a game we could go out here, finally be the year that we blow these guys out the way we've kind of needed to the past couple seasons. I think we can get that done this season, but I think the crowd played a huge part in that. And, especially when they go to the young guy, DJ Lagway, true freshman, his first, well, I don't really know exactly what road environments he's been in. I think he went to Mississippi State. I'm not sure. I don't think he went to A&M, or did he? No, he didn't go to A&M. So I'm not sure if he's really been anywhere near as hostile as what he'll see this weekend. So, get him in there, get him rattled, maybe make him make some mistakes. And, man, at Graham Mertz, man, just kind of some of the smirking and kind of some of the talking he was doing last year when they beat us, man. Like, I don't like that guy, man. So hopefully we can get him rattled too and get him make some mistakes. But the crowd should be electric on Saturday.
So do you think you're talking about the three-man front as far as their defense stopping our offense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're discussing? Okay. Yes. Isn't that a situation where NICO ought to be able to run against that pretty effectively?
Yeah, I think so. 100%. That's something else. That's another part of the reason that Tennessee really needs to start to use his legs even more, because teams are playing us way too honest. But if NICO shows the threat that he can run, all of a sudden we can open things up. And really, whenever you look at that three-man front versus Tennessee's offense, the reason that it's kind of slowing down what we like to do is because we're spreading the field out and we're taking a look at, how are the numbers inside of the box. So if we have favorable numbers there, then we're going to run it. If we have favorable numbers on the outside, then we're going to pass it. Basically, teams are showing, hey, this box is light, run the ball. But really, they've got 2 or 3 guys that look like they're going to be playing in coverage dedicated to Tennessee's running game. So it makes it hard for us to get anything going. But if you put NICO's threat of running into it, now all of a sudden things can, really start to open up. I mean, that's just one thing. There's a million different things, but I think that's one that's just pretty easy.
Okay. And the other one you were talking about, tempo. Now, I actually heard you discussing that you wanted them, I believe, to slow them down a little bit at times. Now, of course, I love the tempo, 21 and 22 and all of that. And then the thought of that we were doing that because a lot of teams had more talent than us. Mm-hmm. I almost wonder how much of that has been inexperience at quarterback, has played maybe a role in that. And then plus, I almost wondering if I'm being a little too harsh on them because both of those games were on the road. It was incredibly loud. Both games were at 7 o'clock, which I think there's a big difference between 7, 3, and 12. Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're having trouble, communicating. And I wanted to ask you this question also, since y'all both are players. When it gets loud like that, can you audibilize during those situations, or are you stuck in the call that you've played? I mean, the play that you've called.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's going to have to be a lot of signals. I mean, like you should have some type of check. So really what you want to have is like some automatics, right? Like you want to know, okay, so if the defense lines up this way, the play is automatically going to be this. And you'll change that quarter to quarter or half to half, whatever. But that's the thing is that, that crowd noise, it can most definitely kind of mess you up. But I also kind of feel like, that's just another part of the reason I think Tennessee at this point needs to slow down with the tempo. I don't necessarily see a point to try to go fast whenever we're not executing. We've got to be able to execute the basic fundamental things first, and then you speed it up. So I'm almost looking at like a little bit more long term, because we are going to get into some more situations where it's going to be loud, and maybe at that point we'll want to start to use the tempo as we get into the playoffs and things like that. But if the offense doesn't have a good foundation to work off of, there's no point to run the tempo, because as I said earlier, all we're going to do is hurry up and get off the field, and we do not want to do that. So I think that we need to try to slow things down, run some different route combinations, have some of those hot reads to get NICO in a better situation, to make it easier for him, because at this point it's just not working.
So I've been watching a lot of film on this offense, and something I noticed is the 7-man protection. We do a lot of 7-man protections. Going back to our point about trying to protect NICO, we keep the tight end and the running back in the block. We have 7 guys blocking, and something you heard Bull and I talk about on the channel this week. This offense needs more kind of quick throws, check down, kind of bailout options for NICO. But we don't have those options because those guys are in blocking. And something that you notice, pretty much you see Oklahoma, Arkansas, they're playing us the same way. Okay, they're kind of sitting everybody back. But they have kind of those in between players, like the nickel linebacker type guy that's kind of splitting the difference between the slot and the end man in the line of scrimmage. And he's kind of playing run and pass. If he gets a pass read, he's playing pass. If he gets run, he's playing run. So those guys are really quick to get into the box Same thing with the linebackers. They're quick. Once they see that the tight end and running back are blocking, those guys are actually becoming additional rushers. So now, where we only had a 4-man rush or 3-man rush or whatever, now we have 5 or 6 guys rushing because those 2 guys are blocking. And if you watch us on film, you notice the running backs and tight ends, they don't block very well when it comes to pass pro. So now we're bringing more pressure on ourselves, and we're asking 2 of our worst pass blockers to now pass block. A lot of the sacks we've gotten, I don't know what the numbers are. I haven't looked at the numbers, but we'll just say we've given up 10 sacks this year. I'd be willing to bet probably 7 or 8 of those came when we had a 7-man protection, because those extra rushers come with like a delayed blitz because they don't have any work. And additionally, we only have 3 guys in a route now, and those routes are all deep down the field. So now we're bringing more pressure, and we have no check down options, and we have guys in there that can't block. Like, it looks like we actually have more success passing if we do like a 6 or even 5-man protection. NICO looks actually more comfortable in those situations. He's getting the ball out of his hands quick. He's more accurate. So that's something I'm looking for on Saturday is how much 7-man protection do we actually do? Like, if you watch us against UT Chattanooga, Kent State, obviously less, inferior competition, but NICO looks calm in the pocket. I mean, we're actually sending guys on routes. We got, 4 or 5 routes being ran, and NICO's sitting back there, licking his chops, throwing it with confidence. But just when we plays better teams, Hypo gets into protection mode, 7-man protection, and I don't think that's going to win us very many games. So that's kind of my spill on 7-man protection.
Is that solely based on our tackle play? Do you think is why he's going to so much 7-man protection, because
I think so.
Hurd's struggling or Campbell is struggling or both?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, that's 100%. So, I mean, Hypo is, but I think what P's point is that we need to, instead of trying to keep people into block, it might work better to put some of those people out on some shorter routes and let NICO get the ball out of his hands quicker, because keeping guys in there to block that aren't, and it's not always, but sometimes they're not picking those blocks up and the passes are going too far down the field. I think that's what P's trying to say. So, yeah, the offensive line, there's several things that we can do to get it fixed. I just want to see us mix it up a little bit more. I don't want us to come in like, and we know exactly, what the play is going to look like, because if we know it, that the other team knows it.
Yeah, and kind of to that point, Jay, whenever we have those extra blockers in, if the tackle gets beat kind of around the edge, that's kind of okay if he can kind of run them by the quarterback. But when a run back and tight end stays in, those linebackers typically blitz right up the middle. So now he has nowhere to step up to, and that's kind of how the pressure's getting to him.
One point on that, is that not an opportunity when that end goes around the tackle? Is that not an excellent opportunity for the quarterback to run right into that open space and pick up a quick 10 yards?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's kind of back to your earlier point, that it does feel like the staff has told NICO, hey, don't run as much, because you've seen it. Even when he does run, if anyone gets close to him, he's trying to slide. He's not trying to make plays anymore. So I think that's part of it. And NICO has to be quicker too. So we can kind of put some blame in several different areas. But I think overall, the main issue is with the structure of how the offense is operating at this point. We've got to try to mix things up a little bit more, and we have to let NICO be NICO and play more loose.
And yeah, I'm wondering if that's not taking him out of his game by making him almost – at some point hearing, hey, don't run, don't do this, and all of a sudden you're not who you are. I know just from playing golf, if you play golf scared, you're going to play horrible. You cannot. It's a mental game. And I think quarterback is so much like that, because it's such a mental game. And as soon as you start getting all that negative mindset of don't do this, don't do, and it's like, just ball out, man. Go out there and be who you are. I mean, when I'm playing my best golf, man, I'm ripping it down the middle, and I'm not looking at the water or the out of bounds. I'm just knocking the crap out of it. And that's what I want to see NICO do. I never saw that with Hendon Hooker, man. He looked to me like he was having the best time of his life out there.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about jack squat.
He wasn't. And you know what? It makes you wonder, is it a coincidence that the offense has kind of fallen off the last 2 seasons? Because quarterback play, or is it because Alex Golesh was actually the guy that really stirred the daggum drink? I mean, just with his mentality, I think he had some different plays in there too that were a little bit quicker hitting. I wonder how much we actually miss Golesh. That's something to think about too, man. Like, was Golesh really the mastermind to make this thing really go?
Man, a lot of people have talked about that. Of course, here's the thing. I've done a lot of graphs on this. Speaking of charts and graphs, that I know Bull does a lot of them. everywhere that Josh Heupel's been, the offense has exploded. I mean, and Golish, I don't think was with him the entire time. So I'm not too concerned about that, but I have heard that comment many, many times.
Well, you know what? I would just like to say this, okay? Because I know some people are kind of down on this team at this point, but understand that this team, this roster from top to bottom is one of the best in the entire country. And we have players that can go out there and beat anybody that we see any Saturday, any day. It doesn't matter. We also, to Jay's point, we have a really, really good staff that will get this thing figured out. The offense should look different this week. It should. I mean, we should be able to move the football and we should be able to score. We're going to get it figured out. So let's not start to panic just yet. I think that this team will be fine. I just wanted to leave y'all with that.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off that too. I know a lot of people got down on the offense after that Arkansas game, and we were kind of hard on them too. But after we watched the film, at least I came with the conclusion that we really did play super sloppy. Like we made a ton of mistakes, ton of errors. There's a ton of things to like to have back. NICO missed some open guys, made some poor throws, didn't block well. Looked like we were tired and lethargic. I think the bye week really did kind of get to us last week. And there's a reason we're still favored to win this game by what was it, like 15 points?
Yeah.
Vegas knows. There's a reason. Like people are still high on us. I think we are still a team we thought we were coming into the season, and I think we'll go out there and show that this Saturday.
All right, folks, that was Bull and P with a Blue Chip Breakdown. And if you like this show, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. I would certainly appreciate it. Won't cost you a dime. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And also be sure to hit Blue Chip Breakdowns. Subscribe to their channel if you want to keep up with all their information. They're former players. They know what they're talking about, X's and O's and all that good stuff. It's a great channel. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.